Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
Australian Book Lovers acknowledges First Nations peoples and recognises their continuous connection to country, community and to culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and honour the sharing of traditional stories passed down through generations. We're committed to a safe and inclusive welcome for authors and readers of all cultures and backgrounds, including people of LGBTQIA+ communities and their families. A big warm welcome to everyone and a huge thank you for joining us for the Australian Book Lovers Podcast, episode 154, and Laurie Bell's 50th co-presenting broadcast.
50 episodes down, yay!
Which is brilliant. So thank you, Laurie, for all of the fun that we're having. It's fantastic because we are on a mission.
Yes.
Our mission is to bring fabulous Australian and Indigenous literature that spans a whole range of genres to book lovers around the globe, and fantastic resources and information for passionate authors looking to write their next bestseller. I'm Veronica Strachan, aka V.E. Patton, fantasy, science fiction, memoir, picture book author, and your founder and co-host, coming to you from Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country.
And I'm Laurie Bell, and I'm been here for 50 episodes now, so that's awesome.
It is awesome.
Also your co-host, and I am a science fiction and fantasy author, flash fiction writer, short story writer, blogger, reviewer, bits of everything and all sorts and
pretty much anything writing and or
everything
writing
and or stuff.
Yeah. And not only that, but
also coming to you from Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country.
Indeed, beautiful. And you know, we just love the writing. We've just had some great chats with people, and a slightly different creator. Tell us about who we'll be hearing from later in this episode.
Well, I am chatting today with Gregory Day, who is, I've been looking over some of his poetry today because I was in a poetry kind of mind. But yes, so a bit of poetry, ex-musician, still musician and amazing thinker, amazing writer, and I actually have a treat for all those that are watching via YouTube with this particular episode. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, jump on to YouTube to get into the interview, because the wonderful Gregory Day was outside in his backyard at the time of our chat, and it is just gorgeous scenery. So it's a bit of a treat for our visual watchers for this episode today.
It is pretty specky. Of course, they're probably watching anyway because our faces are just so photogenic and watchable, Laurie. But they can probably see.
They can see our shirts.
I've got my sci-fi platypus on today.
Nice. I've got my little fantasy my fantasy kookaburra.
Dragon kookaburra. I love that. That's just brilliant. And that was thanks to Steve, who did brilliant work, and Cassie, who put them, in our little shields and that kind of thing. They are our genre icons. If you're wondering what your genre icon is, jump onto the website, australianbooklovers.com, and have a bit of a look.
And
read through the hundreds. Oh yes.
Get cool other merch that is very awesome. And you know what? It's coming into Christmas. Merch is great for Christmas if you're a reader, if you're a writer, if you do both.
Absolutely. Hats.
Sorry, that's my plug.
Yeah.
Hats,
skivvies,
summer.
Hats, scarves, singlets, T-shirts, whatever you like. It's all there. So you can add that or wrap a book in a T-shirt.
Books are the easiest Christmas presents people to get for Christmas or for any birthday or presents or any type. They're so easy to wrap. They're great.
Yes,
four corners. They're flat. Oh.
Yeah,
get onto it.
read more Aussie books. And for those of you that are writing more Aussie books, I have another fantastic writing tip from the delightful K.M. Allan from her book, Writing and Editing Checklist, which is take your book from first draft to publication. And there is so much. And I must admit, the other day when I was doing a bit of editing, I thought, oh, what was I up to again? Which one was I doing? And then I got rabbit hole
Sidetrack, I bet. Yeah.
into Kate's book going,
always
I should have
to
done
get
that. Oh,
sidetracked.
why don't I do that? Anyway, we decided today that the foreshadowing checklist is one of the ones that we wanted as a writing tip. So one of the best elements that you can add to your book is foreshadowing. This is where you drop clues so your readers don't get to that awesome plot twist and then immediately think, where did that come from? And Laurie, you tell us what you do. You do it on about your third draft?
Yeah, well, yeah, usually from the second and third, but mostly from the third and fourth, because by that stage, I've well and truly established how I'm ending the story. I've well and truly established what's happened and how we get there. And then I go back and I kind of need to feed those little tidbits back through. And I did get caught on that on one of my very first books. Long time ago with one of my first drafts where it was very much a feedback that I got from one of my assessments, which was, that was very unrealistic, that end. Okay. Right. So having that foreshadowing coming through, because you don't necessarily want to give away the end, although I'm one of those readers that loves to work out the end at the start when I get all excited. I'm like, it's that guy, and it ends up being that guy, or whatever the case, because I'm one of those people. But
you and Cassie both. Yeah, my eldest, she'll know who it is. And it's like, I got no idea. They tricked me all the way to the end. I'm such an innocent, naive reader.
And isn't it wonderful when you get to that twist then, and you're like, right.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I can see how they tricked me also. Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
All right. So in that situation, the reaction you want is, I knew it, mind blown. And to get to it, you need this checklist. So the idea is to make it believable, use of attention, always turn it into a payoff, add doubt, don't go overboard, space it out, don't let it overwhelm you. So these are the subheadings in this chapter. And the types of foreshadowing are prophecy, concrete, symbolic, red herring, flashback, flash forward. So just make it believable is probably, as you said, the feedback you got on that
if it
early
makes
one.
sense when you get to it, that you think, oh, I should have worked that out.
Yeah.
It's that step, I think, where it's just there's enough planted that as you've read it, when you get to that point, you're like, oh,
Yes, I can see that. Yeah. So the first rule of foreshadowing is to use it believably. Even unbelievable twists designed to turn your plot on its head benefit from this rule, because if the twist comes out of nowhere, you will not get the impact you want. So point 1, the best foreshadowing is something casual. Point 2, make it a mention of a character's fear in a low-key conversation, or a key item listed in their possession among other everyday items. Like, it's no big deal. Only later does that fear or key item come into play and reveal its significance. So in doing this, you also need to give the reader some credit that they'll remember the fear or the key item and not hit them over the head with the information. Readers are smart and they notice things even if it's only subconsciously. So there you go. That is a great chapter, in K.M. Allan's checklist. So thank you, Kate. So the types of foreshadowing: make it believable, use of attention, always turn it into a payoff, add doubt. Foreshadow something with multiple outcomes and payoffs, and give your readers cause to doubt the most obvious answer. And don't go overboard. Space it out. Don't let it overwhelm you. So there you go. That is a really good little checklist in the writing and editing checklist. And really easy to get lost in Kate's book. So just write which checklist you're doing and just do that, and that's the problem, of course, having a big long book like mine.
But that is the good thing about drafts, because you can look at those checklists depending on what draft you're in as well, where you can really focus in on a particular editing type or a particular storytelling trope. So it's an easy book, easy checklist to get lost in.
It is indeed. Yeah. So thank you, Kate. And that's our writing tip for the day. Writing tip. Yep. Time for some news.
Yes. So I've got a couple of little bits and pieces. I want to remind everyone that the Australian Short Story Festival is coming up in this month of November. It is in Adelaide. And it is in the city of Unley at Fullerton Park Community Centre. And it is from the 21st to the 23rd of November. So it is coming up, but celebrating short stories and Australian short stories, which is always amazing and fantastic. And I urge you, if you are in Adelaide or you're visiting Adelaide at the time, go and have a look.
Yes,
A
great lineup there too.
Yeah, there really is.
Lots
So
of
there was that one. I wanted to remind people. There was also, I feel like I'm jumping around, but it is okay. So I wanted to let everyone know. So Creative Australia, they have a, Ugh, I will spit this out. So the New South Wales government is collaborating with Writing Australia with Stories Matter, a writing and literature strategy for New South Wales. So they are talking on 3 key initiatives about connecting writers with schools and communities and promoting opportunities for writers in international markets. So jump onto the Creative Australia website and have a bit of a read. It's really interesting, but they are doing an investment of up to $225,000. So there's a lot of support there for the Lit Up program, for international market development programs, and international touring, translation, and publication information. So that will be, I believe it will be delivered by Australia Reads as well. So just keep your eyes on that. That'll be fantastic. Anything that supports reading in schools and writing in schools is, for me, huge, as I will always do. So speaking of, the author Pen Pals is returning for 2025. I've just my thing, I'll get that in a minute. Which is the initiative to get Australian kids excited about reading. So it's a program that was based on a UK-based program called Book Pen Pals, but Author Pen Pals is through Australian schools. You can jump on if you're part of a school, if you're an English teacher, if you're a librarian, if you're just someone in schools in general that can get promotion for these sorts of things. You sign up to the Author Pen Pals website for your school. And also from the other side, authors who would like to be connected and encouraging children to read. It's 4 letters a year, so it's not a huge commitment to write to children in some disadvantaged schools and in some disadvantaged areas, but really all the way around Australia. So it is absolutely fantastic for encouraging reading and writing. I've been doing it since they started, which was back in 2022 or 2023. It's great fun. It's wonderful when you get your letters from the kids. But I've noticed in the last year, particularly, that you get the letters saying, "Oh, I don't like reading." So it's a great way to encourage books and reading, and when kids get a personal letter, they connect deeper with it, and then you get them talking about the topics that they like to talk about and can encourage reading in those areas. So get on it. The sign up sheets only went live, I believe, last week or the week before. So if you're a school, if you're an author, jump onto the Author Pen Pals website, which is the which I did have right in front of me. It's also created by our lovely Kate Foster, who we've had on the podcast before, and Dee White. So it's very, very tailored to Australian. And I have lost the website. There we go. It is just www.authorpenpals.com. So jump onto that and have a read. And if you are a parent or young adult, encourage your schools to get onto it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take it right to the principal. Tell them to get onto it.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. Anyway, that was and the last one I had, a little bit of news. So the Southerly Journal has returned after a 3-year hiatus. So grab your copy if you love a good journal that is all Australian Indigenous stories. There are some just short ideas, concept. You know what? Just go and get your copy.
Just
Get your
go
copy.
and buy it.
3-year hiatus. So
Yeah.
the new episode is issue 80. 8.1.
Yeah.
First,
And
the future. So,
given that we have lost the Mianjin, I think
Mianjin.
it's great to see that this one is out there. So yeah, that was you had a couple of news items that I had, but I wanted to add then the Inspired Readers Festival, which is in Port Macquarie, Tuesday the 11th to Thursday 13th of November. Now this is supported by Dimmick's Children's Charities, and it is the magic of books to the mid-north coast community, foster a love of reading. So it's kind of there with the young Australians. So primary school students with some of Australia's most cherished authors, joy of books and the magic of storytelling. So there you go. It's opportunities again for students to interact with their favourite authors. 3 days, 5 cherished children's authors will host engaging sessions tailored for years 3 to 6. So if your students are up there, jump in there. So you've got Corey Tutt, Jacqueline Harvey, Jade Goodwin, Joel McKerrow, and Nat Amore, who is a scream. Every time I see her, she's doing something hilarious. So sorry, my cat is just about to wander across rocks. I said you could sit here, but only if you were quiet. Come on, back.
And
Yes.
were you going to mention at all the Australian government's reaction and
Yes.
decision? Go for it, because
Sorry.
I do want to talk about that. Yep.
Don't pat me. She's trying to pat me now. So industry welcomes government's AI copyright announcement. So everybody in the industry is talking about it. So publishing organisations have reacted enthusiastically to news that the Australian government has ruled out relaxing copyright rules for generative AI training, which is absolutely brilliant. They've got to resist industry pressure and decline to accept Productivity Commission's interim recommendation exempting text and data mining from copyright laws. So Lucy Hayward, who's the CEO of the ASA, thanked the Attorney General, and the next steps are to ensure Australian authors and illustrators are compensated. So if you go to the ASA website, you'll see that there's now a database that you can check whether your book was illegally mined.
And that's only one of the
That's only
databases.
one.
There are
Exactly.
so many.
Yep. So, I mean, there are still, some open questions, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. And while we know that, AI is going to be incredibly helpful in many areas, we do need to protect our creatives and make sure that the use of their work is fair. And that's all that people ask for, is that it's fair and reasonable. So jump onto there or jump onto Books and Publishing, all of the places that have information about the artificial intelligence or the machine learning community.
Absolutely. And all across social media, you'll have
Yes.
seen Australian authors and creatives jump on and congratulate about this decision. So it is definitely a step in the right direction. So
Most
we shall
definitely.
see how it goes.
Indeed. All right, I got one more to share. The Sydney Authors Inc., who are friends of Australian book lovers, of course.
Yes.
And they've got their latest events, which are free events. Maria P. Freno, author of Fame and Other Disasters, in a panel discussion with Uma Srinivasan, author of Etched in Gold, and Sal Gallagher, author of Secrets in the Lakes. This is Wednesday, the 5th of November from 2 till 3:30 in the residence room upstairs at the Oxford Hotel in Drummoyne. So if you are up there, come and listen to those local authors discuss their books and writing journey. And there'll be, there's another one happening in December, but we'll try and get that one out as well. So I must get this podcast out quickly, but Sydney Authors Inc., jump onto their website, which is sydneyauthorsinc.wordpress.com, and have a look and look at their Writers at the Pub, the latest one, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Whew! All right, that was the news.
A lot of news.
Yes, time for some book spotlights.
Yes.
And I have to apologise to people for we've been doing quite a few writers' room because it's such a balance. We want to get writers and give them some airtime, but we want to also give our listeners just some hour-long episodes so that they can listen to it on their commute. Thank you, Haley Walsh, listens to us on her commute, and many other people. And yes, like Laurie, but yes, but in the longer episodes, of course, it is one of my favourite things is to spotlight the books because some
Yes.
of these are just amazing. And we have books of every genre on the website. And if you are an Australian author, you may list your book there for
Yes.
free, and we
For
don't take
free.
anything
No.
from you at all. It's there. We do have some arrangements with a couple of what is it, retailers that what do you call it? Affiliate links with some
Affiliate links.
some retailers. But yes, that's nothing comes out of the authors.
And Aussie authors, if you are listed, tell all your friends and family
Yes,
and everything about the site because reading is so subjective. There's something on there for everyone, and
absolutely.
they can share it and get the word out more about Aussie books because it is very hard, as we've had a few discussions about getting information about Aussie books out there.
Yeah.
And we've got so many good ones. They're just amazing.
Indeed. So, and get your friends and family to log on and be a book lover. So that's on a different
Yeah,
page, but it's on there because they can get a free. So I've just seen a giant
yeah.
cockatoo fly past trying to get to the bird theatre. It's hilarious because they're too big, fat and heavy. You know, the bad boys of the bird world. The white cockatoos. Anyway, that's sorry, a bit distracting. But yes,
Mm,
if you are a book lover and you want some free books,
yes.
you can jump on. You can, if you're watching YouTube, you can just see the pile of books over
Yes.
there. The top four are already gone because the top one, see, Hallie
Wait,
Walsh is not dead yet.
brilliant.
I could have given away a dozen of those, but
Yeah,
sadly, I still have to pick the person that because that closed last night at the end of
wonderful.
Halloween. So I'll be picking the winners and sending those off, and I will accidentally race over
So
and get the
you
next four soon.
So you not only go in the running for free books, because who doesn't love that, but also it gives you ideas about books that you may not have heard about because a lot of our authors can't get into the big cost money budget promotions, marketing, all that sort of thing. So if you want to find out about books that you haven't heard about, jump on because the newsletter
Yes.
gives you those spotlights and you get to see the covers and the books and
Yes.
oh, it's marvelous.
Yes, it is marvelous. So let me tell you about this month's,
Mhm.
sorry, November. Yeah, this is about November. Let me tell you about this month's giveaway. So we've got No
I've got.
Dancing in the Lift by
Mhm.
Mandy Sayer. We've got
Mhm.
Cobra Pose by the fabulous Susan Rogers and John Rusin. So they're giving away
Wonderful.
an audiobook. We've got The Long Night by
Mhm.
Christian White.
Cool.
And we've got The Maskies by Stuart Everly Wilson. Yeah.
Oh, what a list.
What a
What a
list. So
list.
that's good. And, we're very lucky because we've got an advanced copy of The Long Night. So that's November 25. That's coming out. So, you could
Very
be getting
cool.
that before it's in the shops, people.
So it's
It
a
is only one copy, which is great. All right.
yes. So what are we
Book spotlight.
spotlighting
All right.
today?
Let's begin with
Mhm.
Salsa in the Suburbs
Mhm.
by Alejandra Martinez, which is a contemporary book. Salsa in the Suburbs is a story about a Latin American family in Australia. The families migrated to Western Sydney from Uruguay in the 1970s to escape a repressive military dictatorship. Decades later, Juan is in his early 70s and a widower. He misses his wife and does not know how to be alone and has become dependent on his daughters, particularly Lola, who lives nearby. Lola has her own battles living with an anxiety disorder and in her relationship with her Uruguayan musician husband, who connects her with the culture she lost when she migrated as a child. Her younger sister Betty is living an alternative lifestyle in Mullumbimby. Unlike Lola, who clings to her Uruguayan culture, Betty has removed herself from her cultural roots as if she finds it oppressive and stifling. Their third daughter, Melina, is living in Italy with her husband. Fed up with Juan's dependence, particularly on Lola, Betty decides to place a personal ad in a Spanish paper on his behalf without asking him, hoping that a new partner may help him move beyond his grief and dependency. However, he finds new love walking the dog, a widowed Aboriginal lady called Frances. Their blossoming relationship becomes a trigger to Juan, Lola, and Betty, who recalibrate how they measure their belonging across cultures. So there you go. A little bit about
That sounds
Alexandra.
fantastic.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. So
Mm.
Alejandra Martinez is an Australian Uruguayan writer based in the Blue Mountains of New South Wales. She migrated to Australia at the age of 7 with her family as a military dictatorship was about to take over the country. Her stories have been published in a range of anthologies and magazines, including Best Australian Stories, Girls Talk, and Poente's Review. She's also written short plays, one of which was performed at the Riverside Theatre in Parramatta. An extract from Salsa in the Suburbs was the winner of the 2022 Newcastle Writers Festival Fresh Ink Emerging Writer Prize. There you go.
Fantastic. So our book two is Looking Out and Beyond by Toby Hammerschlag, which is a historical. It's 1953 and South Africa is gripped by the harsh realities of apartheid. Just 5 years after the election of the right-wing nationalist government, a wave of discriminatory laws has entrenched racial segregation and deepened social injustice. 12-year-old Ada Courtney lives a comfortable life with her parents, Jonah and Jahela. On their farm in South Africa, their Cape Dutch home is nestled amongst the cherry blossoms, apple trees, and golden fields of corn. With maids to run her bath and bring her lunch, Ada is largely unaware of the privileges of her white skin affords her. But as her world expands, so does her awareness. Injustices begin to surface through Ada's quiet observations and a growing curiosity that draws her into the lives of those around her, especially Nikki, the spirited, blue-eyed daughter of a farm worker. Of mixed descent, Nikki faces daily harassment and indignities, particularly from Koos, a local policeman whose watchful presence is both unsettling and persistent. So I'll tell you about Toby Hammerschlag. So Toby grew up in South Africa, immigrating to Australia with her husband and two daughters in 1986. She was a special education teacher for many years, specialising in literacy. While teaching, she would write passages and stories for her students when she couldn't find an appropriate text for them. After retiring from teaching, she did an oral history course with the chief oral history librarian at the State Library of New South Wales. She then interviewed people in order to preserve their family stories. Some of the characters in her recent novel have been inspired by these interviews. Her first book, The Rooftop, was published in 2015, and it's a story of friendship between four young students from diverse cultural and social backgrounds. The book celebrates freedom and diversity, and that book has been widely used in schools. Looking Out and Beyond is her second novel, and the research and writing of her novel has taken 5 years. Toby and her husband live on the upper North Shore of Sydney. She is now a grandmother of 5. She maintains her avid interest in netball. She loves theatre, ballet, and is herself an avid reader.
Excellent. And
Yes.
yeah, I think you would find very few writers who aren't avid readers. Research, we call it. Okay.
Yes.
Book 3 is Wasted, by Hazel Edwards, which is a YA, young adult novel. And we had Hazel on the podcast in episode 46. Is it wasted or a new opportunity? Faced with visa challenges, the asylum seekers prove to be innovators, not victims. Drawing on their resources, they repurpose, recycle, and recreate a new stat-trading biofuel via the mid-ocean garbage patches. Teenager Kit illustrates how you can draw a new future as activists turn to science. But what happens in this new world order? So, bio for Hazel, mind you, we could read many pages, but this is a short one for you. Although known for There's a Hippopotamus on Our Roof Eating Cake series, Hazel Edwards OAM writes across genres. Social issues, including fake ID, screen optioned and translated into Tamil, quirky memoir, Not Just a Piece of Cake, being an author is being translated. With books translated into 10 languages, Hazel is adapting earlier books for screen and stage. Her Australian Antarctic expeditioner experience helped YA novels Wasted plus Antarctica's Frozen Chosen. Innovative projects include Go Go Gecko, a birthday gift for Darwin's grandson, but later AI illustrations, not photos, to protect her young family online. She mentors gifted and adult students who call themselves hazelnuts when they have finished. Her bad hobby is reading in the bath. I don't think so, Hazel. I was reading in the bath last night.
I do that all the time. That's my go-to place. That's my happy space.
Yeah. Hubby's away at a veterans badminton tournament. Excellent bath. I didn't take a glass of wine because it was a bit late, but reading in the bath is good. All right.
Yeah. Nothing better. Okay, so our book 4 is A Song for the Earth by Jade Shannon, which is poetry. I am in a poetry mood. The wide world is made of wonder, but as climate change reinvents the landscape, rich ecosystems are under threat. On a journey through Earth's major biomes, January learns the plight of the planet. Armed with the power of a voice made for poetry, she turns her lyrics into a call for action. And actually, I do discuss that with Gregory Day a little bit later, just that the power of the actual author reading their own poetry. Oh, love it. So, Shannon's bios. Shannon Jade is an author and environmental scientist who believes in the real world magic of storytelling. Hey, totally agree. She is the author of A Song for the Earth, Seashells for Stories, Way Back When, Rainbow, and more, as well as having worked on books for several major publishers, including Rebel Girls and Wiley. Shannon holds a BA in creative writing and publishing and a Master of Environmental Science. Today,
Great mix.
yeah, I know, right? Today, Shannon mostly writes adult fiction and poetry projects with a hopeful environmental focus, aiming to make the world a better, greener, and kinder place.
Lovely.
That.
All right, book 5, In Her Own Time by Delaney Starling, is a contemporary novel. It's a novel of escape, survival, and freedom. 17-year-old Lucia is caught between the fractures of her family and the intoxicating pull of independence. Her father is rigid and haunted by an unspoken past. Her mother is unraveling in a quiet battle to reclaim herself. And Lucia, she's left to navigate the turbulent waters of adolescence alone, finding solace in forbidden relationships, late-night texts, and the steady pull of escape. But the closer she gets to freedom, the more the weight of her past clings to her. When an enigmatic stranger offers a glimpse of something different, love without conditions, she's forced to question everything. Is escape the same as being free, or is she destined to repeat the mistakes of those before her? Years later, that question still lingers. Trapped in a life that feels eerily familiar, older Lucia is forced to face the truth. Breaking free isn't just about leaving, it's about choosing to never go back. Told with raw emotion and unflinching honesty, In Her Own Time is a gripping novel of love and loss, resilience and rebellion. It explores the cycle of generational abuse and asks, how do we reclaim ourselves from the past, and what does it take to finally break free? Bio for Delaney. Let's see here. So, Delaney Starling, In Her Own Time, is her debut novel. She wrote it in 2025 at 22 years of age, from a woman's refuge with her almost 3-year-old son by her side. The book was born out of survival, heartbreak, and the desperate need to break free from the cycle of generational abuse, not just for herself, but for her son too. She's an Australian woman born and raised, and she's lived a life that many don't talk about. Through writing, she found her voice, and now she wants to use it to speak for others who still feel voiceless. She's a mother, a survivor, and someone who believes in the power of storytelling to heal, to fight back, and to start again. Her hope is that In Her Own Time finds the people who need it most and reminds them that freedom is possible. Just the power of words, environmental, family, generational abuse.
Yep.
Brilliant. All
We
right.
have so many good books.
We
So,
do.
book 6, The Audible Life Stream by Alistair Conwell, which is a non-fiction. And I believe we had Alistair on our
Yes.
lovely episode 151.
Yes.
So, the audible life stream or primordial sound current is the all-pervasive universal consciousness within everyone. Few realize there is credible evidence indicating that Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and so on all perfected the meditative technique of turning their attention inwards, thereby merging with the audible life stream to become adepts of dying while living. This unique book provides evidence of the audible life stream from a variety of sources, including independent testimonials of near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences from people in USA, UK, and Australia. Excerpts from major religious texts simply explained quantum physics principles. Can you simply explain quantum physics principles?
I think that Alistair probably can.
I think so. And independent anecdotes from the increasingly popular field of sound music therapy. So that is with Alistair. So Alistair's bio. Alistair Conwell was born into a Eurasian family in India, but grew up in Western Australia where he now lives. He has both postgraduate degrees in psychology and business communication. He has had 2 non-fiction books published, Soul Comfort and The Audible Life Stream. He has been interviewed by podcasters in the USA, Canada, Australia, and UK about his books. His first novel is called Circadian Web, and you should all get that and read it because it's great, and was released in 2025.
Indeed, it's science fiction based on some of his own work, which is great. All right. Book 7, because you know that I love a prime number, is The One Remaining by Paula McLean. This is a contemporary novel. So The One Remaining is a compelling debut novel about the silences that shape us and the power of reclaiming our stories. When her older sister vanishes without a trace, 13-year-old Hilary Mason is left with unanswered questions and buried suspicions. Decades later, now a successful novelist, Hilary uncovers her teenage diaries and begins writing a memoir, a journey that will unravel everything she thought she knew about her family, herself, and the nature of memory. This is a tender, beautifully crafted novel about grief, guilt, resilience, and the redemptive force of writing. I have to agree with you there. All right. Paula's bio. She is a writer, arts philanthropist, and advocate for gender equity in Australian literature. A long-time supporter and former member of the Stella Prize, board member of the Stella Prize, Paula is deeply invested in platforming women's voices and challenging structural bias in publishing. The One Remaining is her luminous debut novel, a work of literary fiction that explores the legacy of grief, the slipperiness of memory, and the healing potential of storytelling. With a background in literature and a career that has spanned writing, philanthropy, and cultural advocacy, Paula brings both narrative precision and emotional depth to her work. Her writing is concerned with the hidden narratives of women's lives, the quiet ruptures, unresolved losses, and everyday acts of resilience that shape who we become.
Love
There
it.
you go. Yeah, love
We've
it.
got so many good books we've spotlighted today.
So many good books,
So
and if
many.
you were in the last giveaway, you would have had the chance to win a copy of The One Remaining, because that was in last
Hey,
month's giveaways. All right, but if you
fantastic.
didn't, too bad, so sad, because it finished at midnight. Oh, that's a bit mean, isn't it, on my part? But anyway. Too bad, so
There's
sad.
more, there's more, there's more.
Yeah,
And of
yes.
course, you can get them yourselves.
There's more, and I already told you what is on for next month. Right, you can also buy them yourselves, and please, one
Support
book a
Aussie
month
writers.
of an Aussie author. Support somebody, which will be great. It's not a lot,
Mm.
and while they don't get the whole price, they only get $3 or $5. You might be buying them a cup of coffee, and if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee or
Yes.
support us, you can jump onto the ABO website,
Love coffee.
near the podcast, and support us, paying for the podcast and postage.
It's
And
mostly postage.
it's mostly
It's
postage. Let's
basically
be
all
honest.
postage, and we're
All
still
these
under.
days, yes, still these days. So please jump on and support. You can give us $3 a month, or just
Yeah.
one lot of $3 if you like. That we'll pay for about well, not even a third of a book these days. But
No,
anyway,
that's
that's
like a
okay.
seventh
Yeah.
of a book postage. Oh God.
But we appreciate every little
We
thing,
do.
because it is tough at the moment, and we are doing what we can to celebrate and support Australian authors.
Yes.
I think it's time for you to introduce us
Yes.
to Gregory Day.
So please sit back, get a cup
No,
of
he's
tea or a
frozen.
coffee, and sit back and watch if you're watching, but listen to my lovely chat with Gregory Day. Delighted to have with today Gregory Day, author, musician, and poet, and author of the book Southsidedness. Hello, Gregory. It's
Hello
so good to
there.
have you on the podcast today. I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri Wurrung country. Where are you coming to us from today?
I'm coming from just near the border of Wadawurrung and Gadibanud country on the west coast of Victoria.
Oh, beautiful. And I absolutely love the Australian backdrop that you have there. You did say that's just your garden, but it looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, it's not. Yeah, it's there's a little bit of non-Australian flowering matter as well, but yeah, I get your vibe at the manna gum in the back. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. I love a good manna gum. Gregory, if you don't mind, I would love for you to read one of your poems to us before I get to tell everyone about your book, Southsidedness. I think there's nothing that compares to an author reading their own poem. I think there's something about the inflection of how you know it should sound, as well as how it should be read, that's just captivating to listen to. So I would love for you to read one of your poems.
I can. I'll do that. And thanks, Laurie. This poem's called Sister Light. It's about my sister Madeleine, who died quite young. Wind braids the grass and combs the hides of Herefords standing or reclining in clods. In the foreshortening view, rusted river trees with pines create a welcome belt. Under the bruised sky, over the metal road, farm fence wires zing, guitars hang on silent nails. The rain tunes out and in, greening single bouses, printing the world with tattoos of weather. Rounding a long bend, eyelids almost touching, I see a light-filled wetland peering through the glare. Adrift in the glitter, windscreen shining, I hear an ancient chorus singing in the sky. Suddenly I'm in yearning for my sister to come back, to tour with me at last these swan-dotted soaks. The birds sound her return, and my eyes swing from the road toward the centre of their song. The whole wetland fills, tilts on its side, pours open, drenching the empty passenger seat in light.
Absolutely love that. Thank you so much for reading that. Let me tell you, listeners, all about Gregory Day. So Gregory is a writer and a musician from the west coast of Victoria, Australia. Gregory is the winner of the Patrick White Award, the Australian Literature Society Gold Medal, and the Nature Conservatory Australia Nature Writing Prize. I will get that out. He has twice been shortlisted for the Miles Franklin Award, and most recently in 2024 for the Belle of the World. And let me tell you a little bit about SouthSightedness, which is a collection of poetry. In this deeply intimate and strikingly beautiful poetry collection, twice shortlisted Miles Franklin Award author Gregory Day celebrates the ongoing wonders of the earth and sea while calling time on the superficial divisions we have created between ideas of nature and culture. SouthSightedness offers a way of being as well as seeing. It details a very direct and local world, but one made universal by the poet's art. This is a world of reality and the imagination, a world of damaged and regenerating ecologies where the poet lives surrounded by family, animals, weather, sport, tourism, and layers of history. With lyrical craft and inventive power, SouthSightedness offers deep aesthetic pleasure, but in an often down-to-earth way, in part a survey of the past as well as a navigational guide for the future. It is a vivid, poetic catalogue of 21st century cultural landscape, where all the things are connected, including sound and sense, beauty and humour, truth and joy. What an amazing novel. How did SouthSightedness come about?
Oh, SouthSightedness is a collection of poetry from the last 20 years, Laurie. So in that 20 years, I've published 6 novels and book of essays and what have you. And these poems are poems that have been going on in the background and sometimes in the foreground of all that other writing. So those people who've read my novels will see the seeds of themes and even moments in those novels in these poems. It's really, as you know, that kind of a little bit embarrassing blurb says, it's daily life here where I live, the things I love, the things I hate. And the verse styles in the book are quite diverse. It's quite eclectic in its verse forms, but really it's a portrait, as it says, of this place and my just emotions as I go about life with the family, with politics, and all that we all go through. Yeah.
So you say over 20 years. What made you decide to put the collection together?
Well, it was partly me and partly my agent. I'd published a lot of these poems in a lot of magazines over the years. And after I wrote my novel, The Belle of the World, we work in, I think nature works in short cycles and long cycles, days, months, years, centuries, millennia, seasons. And this was finishing The Bell of the World and publishing that was kind of like the transition into a new season. And so it felt like the right time to gather all these poems with all their ingredients and put them together to mark that time. So, and these days, very happily, it seems people are getting acquainted again with poetry after a period of time where perhaps people had felt a bit intimidated by poetry, or they felt like poetry had become too obscure for them. So at this moment in time, it feels like there are ears and eyes for poetry. And that's just really great because, I think the last 20 or 30 years, 40 years maybe, it would be the first time in human history where poetry hasn't been at the forefront of culture. It's always been the central language form in, whether it be sung, whether it be spoken, it's a kind of distilled form of the language. It's a heart speech. So for all those reasons, yeah.
Well, I was going to say you do have musician in your background. You have put together music and poetry into musical form too. Would you say maybe then that poetry is that songs and music these days would be where that cultural front of poetry is in modern day?
Yeah, you'd presume that in a way, although. And, back in the day before the printing press, poetry was a lot of the reason why there are, rhyme, assonance, alliteration, these patterns in poetry is because before the printing press, it was a way to remember the poem if these patterns were there. And it was like a mnemonic device to remember. So I think we're talking about big cycles. So that cycle from poems, chanting, singing, that was sung, that was spoken, then had went through these centuries of the Western world, Enlightenment, out of the medieval era. And now we're kind of, in a way, we're moving back through song, but song and poetry, they are indivisible. They're like cousins, but they're not the same person. And of course, now with, the rise of audio and the internet, you can listen to your favorite poets as well as read them. So you've got both of those things going on. Because I'm a singer and musician as well, that suits me fine.
And I notice with a lot of your poetry, it is very lyrical. There is almost that beat that's occurring in your head when you're writing, when you're reading it. Do you have the same process when you write? Do you hear music? Do you hear something that gives you that timing and flow?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think when it comes to novels or poems, I don't think for me, I don't think I write anything unless it's rhythm and sound. I don't think ideas are enough. You could write an opinion piece in the paper every week if you felt like just expressing ideas. I think it really is something in the body. And I often write when I'm walking. I often write outside when I'm walking, and that generates that kind of rhythm and sound that I'm talking about. So yeah, I think for me, it's as much about the ear as it is about the intellect. But of course, all those things are hopefully coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I find also with poetry is it really evokes a mood or a moment or a emotion when you read a piece. Do you find that you need to be in a certain mood to write a certain poem?
I don't know. I don't like to think too much about that. I don't like to analyze it too much. Perhaps I'm superstitious, but I think art, whether it be poetry, novels, songs, paintings, fixing your car, whatever inspires you, it's about life. There's this great word, biophilia, which was coined by E.O. Wilson, the entomologist. Really, that means love of life. Life is attracted to life. And I think in this weird mystery that we're in of this existence that we don't know really what is at the bottom of it and where it goes ultimately, we have these moments where the life breaks through. And when the life breaks through, everyone, whether they're an artist or not, has modes of behavior that happened when that life breaks through. It can be gardening, it can be anything. For me, I'm the person, since I was born, I'm the type of person who sings and writes, tells stories. That's the way it works for me. But it's life breaking through. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so with your poems, how did you choose which poems went into Southsidedness?
Oh, well, I'd had, a lot of poems there. And unlike with my novels where I'm a complete control freak, with this, I had no idea how to put it together. It was very strange. I had no idea how to sequence it. I just couldn't get my head around what would work for the reader as a sequence, because there's a lot of poems in the book. So I asked a very good friend who's often a first reader of my novels to have a go at doing that for me. And she knows my work intimately, and she's an artist herself. She thinks conceptually, but she understands narrative. And so she put it together in a way that I wouldn't have thought of making the move she made. But a lot of readers comment that this book, from the kind of arc of the book, is really highly readable and making connections that aren't obvious. And so it seems to work. So I'm very grateful to her.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because you're a novelist and you're a
Yeah.
poet, what for you is the difference between sitting down to write a novel to writing a piece of poetry?
Oh, well, a novel, in my experience, you have to do. It takes years to do it. Depending on the book, it's taken me 5 years to write one, 3 years to write another. And so what has to happen with a novel is that you sit down at the same time every day. Personally, me, it's first thing in the morning, and you write for 3 or 4 hours every day. Otherwise, the thing doesn't get done, because the life breaks through, and it's a different life to the book you're writing. So you really have to go about it like that. Whereas poems, you can write a poem. Like sometimes you can write a poem in 15 minutes. You could write a poem, in the time it takes you to drive to the post office. And other times, there's poems in this book that took me 15 years to complete, because I couldn't quite capture the flow. There was a puzzle or a problem. That poem I read, Sister Light, that actually took me 20 years to finish. And that might be partly to do with the fact that it's to do with my sister. It's very close, but also it's just sometimes, and a few people have said this, sometimes when you're writing poetry, it's almost like you're not writing it, you're remembering it. Even though it doesn't exist yet, you're kind of trying to call it up. And in this life of distraction, sometimes being in that state of the mind where you can call it up is half the battle. So that one, it's a short poem. It took 20 years. But as I say, there's other poems in here that took 15 minutes. Well, novels can't be like that, just purely because of the duration of them. Yeah, so it's quite different. Yeah.
Do you write any of your poetry on commission? Do you have someone magazine say, right, we want this type of topic, this type of theme?
Not with poetry, no.
Oh,
I did do I have done 3 artist books with collaboration with a dear friend, Yuri Tibor Novak, who's an etcher artist. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. And my partner, Sian Mallow, who is a artist and a bookmaker, fine bookmaker. So we did 3 artist books. And two of the collections from those artist books, they're just like 12 poem sequences. 2 of those sequences are in Southsidedness.
Okay.
So it wasn't so much a commission, it was a collaborative project that occurred within everything else. But no, I don't think I'd take a commission for a poem. I don't think a poem is something you decide to do. I think it happens. I would take a commission. It's theoretically possible that I would even take a commission to write a novel. And I certainly do, from newspapers to write articles and what have you. or essays, but poetry, I can't imagine that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that might be the timing might be perfect one day, and it might happen. Yeah.
How do you choose your words when you're putting together a poem? As you said, sometimes it takes 15 minutes, but
Yeah.
is it that it just pops into your head, or do you specifically look for certain words?
I think there is a pipe somewhere in the space that we're living in, that at the top of the pipe, there's a kind of a heavenly order of language, and it comes slowly down the pipe, and you put your ear to it. Sometimes there's other people in the way, and you're in a queue almost, they're all lining up at the pipe, and sometimes it's your turn, and the words come down and they pop through. And then once they've popped through, for me, they often pop through just with one line
Oh,
or two lines, not the whole thing.
okay.
And then it's your I don't know I don't know if I'd say it's a responsibility, but it's then your challenge is to step up to those lines and to finish what they started. And that's where craft, technique comes into it.
Yeah.
So it's a mysterious process, but it's also a technical process too.
Well, I was going to ask you about the technical process. So
Yeah.
I've been writing books for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
I struggle with it's just not something that my brain is capable of putting together, or at least that's probably my mental block that won't let me get there. You've done some one-on-one mentoring and that sort of thing. What do you say to the people that you mentor, or even to students and children, when it comes to poetry? I am just in awe of people that can put poetry together, because I love it so much and I can't do it. What do you say? What do you say to those people that will say that?
Well, I wouldn't mentor a poet unless they had poetry coming through them. So, Laurie, if you came to me and said, I want you to teach me how to write poetry, and I'd say, well, show me your poems. You say, well, I can't write them. I'd say, well, that's probably not your bag. So other stuff maybe. So it's a given that if I agree to mentor someone who's a poet, that they've already got poems. But then you're dealing with material, you're dealing with craft, you're dealing with what they are trying to achieve and what is actually happening for the reader. But it is a balance between satisfying yourself and falling in love with your reader. Like, there's nothing worse than a poem or a piece of fiction that preaches, that is polemical, that gets up on the soapbox. That, for me, is an artless thing. So that's often, a problem in fiction, particularly, and sometimes with poetry, because the reader collaborates with you on any piece of writing. The reader is creating their own images in the head. You might have images in your head, but you're triggering personal images in the reader's head. And so it's a collaborative space. You just start the process, the reader completes the process. And so therefore, you have to allow space for the reader to come into the process. You can't be going, and let me tell you. So that, even just that mindset can really foster and unleash great things for people who want to write. Even just that, just to think about creating a collaborative space for the reader. Yeah.
I really like that. Have you gone into any schools or spoken to students at all in regard to poetry?
I have. One of my novels was on the VCE literature list for many years. So I would go in and speak to them, and I'd always say, well, what are you studying this for? Why aren't you studying James Joyce? And the teachers would say, because they wouldn't read James Joyce. I'd say, well, they fail, because you can't forget the great intricacy, the great kind of headwaters of writing. Anyway, that's by the by. But I have gone into schools, and when you're speaking to a group, I always say, look, I'm speaking to all of you, but I know that there's only one or two of you here to whom I'm really speaking. You don't have to tell me that you're that person, but you know who you are, and this is for you. Because
like
even
that.
at university level, people who study writing, 85% of the people who are in the writing classes are kind of there because they don't know what else to do with themselves.
Mhm.
Now, that's a different state of being, and sometimes that can lead to good writing, but then there'll be a few people who really know and are really fired up, and it's going to be their life.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that I'm here for, yeah. Or
Oh,
there for, yeah.
I love that.
Mm.
So do you do any specific research for any of your poems?
Oh, yeah, if they demand it, definitely.
What kind of research?
Well, these poems actually, because they're so local, um, research is life. But um, but I'm big on natural world literacy. I'm big on in the climate change situation, the Anthropocene, the Muliscene, whatever you want to call it, the Capitalocene. We have a situation where, supposedly we're trying to save something, but it worries me, I think, some of the time that we've got to know really what it is we're trying to save. So we've got to really, if we can, and if we have the opportunity, find the language for the biota around us, the trees, the plants, the soil, find the language and the words for it. And that has been a lifelong kind of research project for me, which really hopefully comes through in the texture, the sonic texture of my poems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, was actually going to say that there's something very It's funny. It's not that you've used Australianisms or Australian words, but with your description of the land and that visual nature, there is something very Australian that comes through in that. I don't know whether it's just a vibe
Well,
or
it
what.
would be I mean, it would be a combination between, as you say, a particular atmosphere, but also, as I say, language, the toolbox, the words, whether it be vernacular language, whether being in love with vernacular language or being in love with botanical language or being interested in indigenous languages or whatever it is, there is a language which makes up this hybrid culture that we're in here. And my family have only been here, we've been here for 180 years. 1841 we came into this area. So very, very shallow roots comparatively to the first peoples here. But God, it's in us, and we're still growing and learning. But my stuff is very place-based. So that's why it's called South-Sightedness. I suppose we're on the south coast of the continent, which is at the south coast of the world.
I was going to ask about the title. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic title. So it was really to place the collection.
Well, I could, I could sound really smart and say, yes, I thought I needed to place the collection. But actually, I was writing a poem and the word South-Sightedness came down the pipe
Oh, wow.
and came into my ear. And it's in a couple, it's mentioned in a couple of these poems.
Wow.
And when it came through, because it was a new word, a neologism, as they say, I went, oh, I like that. Not nearsightedness, farsightedness, short-sightedness, it's south-sightedness.
South-sightedness.
That feels like kind of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt like a good umbrella. But I have been saying when asked about that, it's the south side of south-sightedness. It's also for me, I'm thinking about a kind of eclecticness, eclectic attitude. I feel like we live here in a way that is quite global. If you're a non-Indigenous Australian, as I say, you're originally from somewhere else. And in my case, it's Ireland and Sicily. And Australians are typically, huge travelers because we're so far away from everything. And we're a lot of us are originally from this faraway place. We do absorb, we're sponges. We take a lot of things in, and that includes in poetry. We take a lot of different traditions in. We don't have, say, me here, as I say, only 180 years, so I don't have deep roots here alone. It's deep roots in Ireland, it's deep roots in Sicily, then it's deep roots in books, it's deep roots in global culture. So South-sightedness is a way of looking at the whole globe from the South as well.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
I really love that. When did you first admit that you were a writer?
I've just been writing a new novel, and there's this anecdote in there about when I was at primary school, and they
Oh.
asked us to write a short story.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at quite an experimental primary school, and they just kind of one day they said this, and so I just sat down and I started writing this story about my friends who were sitting around the table with me. And I think of that moment because I
Oh,
remember the
yes.
excitement. It's like, oh, like, okay, so the world we live in is not all there is. We can also make worlds up.
Mm-hmm.
How exciting to be able to do that, and kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other moment was in secondary school. And again, I was in an English class, and maybe we had some kind of instruction to write something. And I just remember writing quite a series of quite surreal images. And just knowing at that point, I had a very strong sense at that point that, oh, I get this. Like this is something that feels really natural, and it's so boundless. The imagination is such a boundless gift. And so I probably got around quite pretentiously telling my friends at that point that I was a writer. Probably. But yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
it's been my whole life, yeah.
Are there any secrets hidden in your writing at all?
What do you mean by that?
Just little Easter eggs or secrets to yourself that you know are specific moments, or that maybe one or two people in the entire world might actually get the reference.
Well, my novels are full of those Easter eggs.
Yeah.
That's a very deliberate layer of my fiction. There's patterns that I was doing a speaking event last weekend up north of Bendigo, and some people came up and they said they'd driven up from Melbourne to hear me speak, and they said, we've walked all the footsteps of the characters in your novels. We've followed them wherever they've gone. So they had a very strong sense of what they knew. But it is the case, like I said before, that the reader's book is different from the writer's book. So that's as it should be. I remember reading Tolstoy's Anna Karenina when I was a teenager, and I remember
Good
picturing,
work.
I was 18. I was picturing scenes where Vronsky goes hunting in Russia. I was picturing those scenes in a wetland just near where I'm sitting here, because they were my local reference points. If when I was a child I was reading Enid Blyton and she was talking about a farm, I would picture a farm that I knew. Yeah. So we all have these different ways of inhabiting the books. But yeah, there'd be things in my poems that that maybe only really local people know. But having said that, I would like to think that they're accessible broadly. Yeah.
Yep. Technical question then.
Yeah.
Editing.
Yeah.
How do you go about editing a poem?
Yeah. It's a really good question. I mean, there's an inner ear, I think. There is an arrangement and a pace and a movement that the poem, when I said before, the first line comes down the pipe, you hear it, and then you step up. That's what that's about, editing. That's what that is about. It's about, so what is this poem? Is this, a fish? Is it a bird? What is the nature of it? And am I really fulfilling and doing justice to that nature? That's where editing comes in, where the first lines might have come and you mightn't have noticed that they were actually in iambic pentameter without you even realizing. And then you get halfway down the poem and you're going, there's something not quite right. And then someone might say, or you might think, well, those first lines that came, they were in a very stable rhythm, and you've just let that rhythm fall away there. So you then go, okay, I have to fulfill the creature that this poem is I have to let it be itself. And so you might then start looking at your line lengths to do that. So it's got a unified field. Or it could be image production. So you might think an image is a little bit blurry.
Okay.
You know, there is an image there, but it's not quite clear. And so you try to clarify the image by maybe choosing a different word, or maybe choosing a phrase, not a word, maybe, yeah. So that's how I see editing with poetry. I think with fiction, it's different because you've got narrative structure and narrative pace and narrative sequencing. But with poetry, I think it's really more about that.
And poetry is so subjective. How do you go with an external editor?
Um,
Any big arguments about particular word choice or imagery?
no,
Oh, that's
I
good.
I think the people who I give poems to edit are poets, and they might just understand something that I'm not quite seeing. Because when you say it's subjective, it is, but it also has to exist objectively in the world. As I say, once again, it's translation to the reader.
Yeah.
It's not about catharsis. Be an artist, not a cathartist, as I tend to say. It's about you connecting with someone else. So, you know, in terms of editing someone else saying something, I'm all ears for ways in which it can improve. But I would only give it to a poet, the editorial side of poetry.
Makes
Whereas
sense.
with fiction, I feel like, you know, editing is a gift of its own with fiction. And I've worked with great editors with novels that are not novelists themselves. But that's not been the case with poems.
Okay. Do you have a particular message? What would you want a reader to take away from reading, particularly a collection of poems, given that they can be so different in mood and vibe and
Yeah.
comedy and fear, all those sorts of things? What would you hope that a reader would take away?
Just pleasure, Laurie, just pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Just the pleasure of connection and recognition of
Mm-hmm.
this life we share on this planet, and maybe an impulse to then put down the book and go out walking.
Mm-hmm.
That
I like
might
that.
be enough, and
Yeah.
paying attention to the where you're walking. But the main thing is pleasure. We read for pleasure. It's not a duty. It's a pleasure, and yeah, that's how I see it.
So coming off that then, so you've got a classroom of kids in front of you who've been told that they have to read this poem
Yeah.
for school. Yeah. What do you say to encourage them to really look outside of the words themselves?
Ah, it's a hard one, that, you know, because
Mm.
it's kind of easy for me, because if I ever go into schools, I'm only there for a couple of hours and then I walk out. But if you talk to a teacher who's there day in, day out
Mm.
and has to get this rabble organized so that, you know, that they're learning something and that their parents aren't jumping up and down, that's a whole different challenge. So I just feel like, you know, the word enthusiasm comes from a Greek word, enthusiasmos, which means to have God within, or to have the spirit within. With anything to do with writing, whether it be young people or older people, it's just about getting that spirit, getting the enthusiasm,
Yeah.
you know, and understanding that. So different ways to do that, but I definitely shouldn't be in my book. For instance, I said before, you know, if people are studying my books in school, I would say, why
Yeah.
aren't you studying James Joyce? Just for instance,
Mm.
you know, the point of that is not to say I've got a big stick here and you must study this great man. The point is, open the book and start showing them the magic that's in the book and bring it to life so that enthusiasm kicks off. So for some of them, the pennies start dropping and the bells start ringing and their life might be changed. And for all those people who aren't really readers, and, you know, their life's not going to be changed by anything they read, well, so be it. Nothing we can do about that. They're going to do great things in other fields.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what does your ordinary writing day look like?
I start early in the morning.
Mhm.
it starts by listening to birds at dawn, to be literal. And then, I would write creatively, if we can distinguish creative from, say, writing for the newspaper or writing book reviews. I would write creatively until about midday every day.
Okay.
Although at the moment, 3 mornings a week, I'm planting trees in this area.
Fantastic.
So those 3 mornings are doing something else. But typically from dawn till midday. And then the afternoon, I start doing other stuff, like, as I say, writing reviews, reading, things like that. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And how did you get your agent? What process did you go through to just becoming a published author?
Well, my first novel, which was published 20 years ago, The Patron Saint of Eels, I sent that to Picador, Pam McMillan,
Wow.
and because someone who was in the industry advised me to, and it was picked out of the slush pile.
Oh, wow.
And accepted. So once that happened, and then it won a couple of big awards, and so then the agent just followed from that. So that was a piece of good fortune that happened. And so remember that still does happen. There are slush piles, and those kind of things do happen. But naturally, it can't happen to everyone. But for me, that's how it worked. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Who helped you most then when you were starting out?
There was quite a few people who helped me. My brothers helped me a lot. My eldest brother is a writer too.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
he always helped me. I had a good friend whose mother has become a good friend, Hilary McPhee, famous Australian publisher and editor. And she gave me really good advice early on and was very supportive and encouraging, and still is. Yeah, so I think they've been the main helps, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And what's the best writing advice that you've ever had?
That I've ever had.
Yes, that's been given to
Okay,
you.
yeah. Well, the one that comes to mind is it wasn't actually for writing, it was about painting. And I think this is really good. John Olsen, the Australian painter, he was describing once in an interview how his career started. And he said, well, I went to art school and there was a lot of people at art school who were way more talented than I was. When we graduated, we all went off and got our individual studios. And with a lot of them, they'd go into their studio in the morning. If nothing happened by lunchtime, they'd go to the pub. And he said, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. It's a long time ago I heard this and I might have adapted it to my own purposes. But what he said was, but I didn't go to the pub. I just stayed there, even if nothing was happening. And I would stay there for a day, nothing would happen. I'd stay there for another day, nothing happened, but I stayed there. And I think that is really good advice. If you want to do it, you just stay there. You don't go to the pub until you're done. If you stay there long enough, it's like the right soil conditions for a particular seed to germinate. You've planted something by actually committing to staying there. It will happen. It will happen. Just stay there.
That's fantastic. That's great. That's absolutely great advice. I absolutely love that. So what then advice would you have for your younger self?
Oh, should have been an opera singer. Should have. I'd started taking opera lessons too late. In my late 30s, I went and saw. I had a few lessons from a guy who was from the Paris Opera, and he was living in Melbourne at the time. And I knew at the time. I always was told that my voice could do that, but I knew at the time when I was talking to him, I just knew it was too late. And I love opera, and I just really wish I had done that, to be honest. But I didn't. So
it's that doing what you want to do and not being afraid to do it.
Well, Australia's such a knockabout, ad hoc kind of place. You know, if I'd have grown up in bloody Salzburg or Paris, then my parents might have marched me off. But anyway, so be it.
So what's your writing goal for the next 12 months?
Well, I have a novel I'm working on called The Hidden Coast of the Poor.
Oh, I love that.
The area where we live in along the Great Ocean Road, it's been, gentrified. The real estate prices are out of control. And
Yeah.
the place where I grew up and am now, used to be a place where anybody could be, and it was full of characters and lots of different types of people. Now it's kind of not so much like that, purely and simply because of the price of things. And so in a way, there's this slow editing out of particular textures going on. So I'm working on a novel which tries to tell some of that story.
Yeah.
And as I said before, novels take time, so I'll be definitely trying to kind of wrangle that into a form that might be able to go out to a reader.
Lovely. Well, where can people find you online? Are you online anywhere?
No,
How do people find you?
I'm not online. I don't have a mobile phone, Laurie. So
Wow, really?
no.
Oh,
So
Gregory.
I never have had. And
Mhm.
I used to be a bit online. I used to be on Instagram for a bit. Started when I was traveling overseas researching a book, but no, I'm not there anymore. And I don't, I prefer life.
Actually experience it.
Oh, well, that's an experience. I'm not,
Mm.
but it's just not for me. I'm got
Mhm.
too many books to read.
Oh, I hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you do.
So, all right, any final words for potential readers or writers or poets out there?
Final words? No. I think, just do it your own way. The rules are, as they say, to be broken. But if I had one thing to say, I'd say just read your head off. Like just read and read and read and read and read. And all these distractions, the phones, for instance,
Yeah.
I even see writers sometimes these days finding it difficult to read
Yeah.
because of all that. So you got a choice to make. It's like giving up cigarettes. You either make a choice and you do it, or you die.
I don't.
So, yeah.
Oh, Gregory. Well, once again, I'd really like to thank you for joining the Australian Book Lovers podcast today. Gregory Day, if you want to get a hold of this book, grab it because it is absolutely brilliant. There's poems for everyone and for any moment, and there's some comedy in there too, which is a bit of fun. So Gregory Day, author of SouthSightedness and a bunch of other books, so grab onto those as well. And I wish you a fabulous rest of your day. And to the readers out there, make sure you keep reading Aussie books. Thanks, Gregory.
Thanks a lot, Laurie. Good on you.
Wonderful thank you once again to the lovely Gregory Day for chatting with me about his book of poetry, Southsidedness, which is a great title for an Aussie book, can I just say? But how wonderful is it to listen to the author of poetry read their own poetry, which is stunning. And I think we've got another read a little bit.
Yes, little excerpt
might
at the
go
end.
at the end of the podcast today. So stay on and listen to Gregory reading some of his poetry.
It's so good. I like biophilia. Life is attracted to life, the rhythm and the beat. And I love his analogy of the ear to the pipe. It's like the muse sends something down the pipe and you get that.
It was great, wasn't it,
the
with the
little
pipe?
earworm almost. Yeah. And then, creating collaborative spaces for the readers by doing that. And the reader's book is different from the writer's book. So many great things you guys talked about.
Yeah,
the
it
pleasure
was
connection of the
so
life we
fascinating.
share. And his advice, stay there.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. But
brilliant.
also you can when you read and listen to some of his poetry, you can see the musicality come through in his skill set as well. Like knowing that he's a musician, knowing that he gets out there and actually puts these amazing things together. You can hear it. I love the fact that poetry is basically lyrics. You could put poetry to music. I mean, that's how amazing it is. So
Definitely.
yeah, a lot of fun to talk to.
I just popped into my mind. I mean, there's so many different poets. I've heard David White, the Welsh poet, say his own, speak his own poetry. And I've also
Richard
made me
Bacon.
think also,
Love hearing her read her work. Oh,
yes.
so yes. Yeah.
Do you remember Pam Ayres, the British
Yes,
who used to have
yes.
those little quirky poems? And she used to just look at you with those eyes and you think something funny's coming. And,
Yep.
she'd just break out. So, poets reading their own poetry is good. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Lovely. We better do some quotes and get
Yes.
on with the rest of the day.
Yes,
So, what have you got
absolutely.
for us?
So I actually had one by Ava DuVernay. Just know that everyone's writing is terrible until it's not. No one's stuff is right immediately. You've got to work it, refine it, shape it, spend time with it. It's a relationship between you and what comes from you. So it's not easy. It's gonna be terrible before it's not, and that's okay. And I think that's an important reminder.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And, it's tough. You always have those imposter syndromes when you're editing and then you're reading something, you think, oh my God, mine's never going to get to that way.
I was reading a
But
new
it will.
book and it's glorious, the language used, and I'm just like,
Damn.
yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I couldn't sleep last night, so I thought, you know what, I'll put on an audio book that I love that I don't have to listen to the story. So I put Ben Aronovich's Rivers of London on, and but he's so good to listen to because the protagonist is reading an old book, and it says things like, so-and-so, the author, who never met a polysyllabic word he didn't love, so, just I can see that. And, it's just so rich. And, he talks about the architecture in such a funny way that descriptions of where they are in place are just hilarious because he just brings the history of London in. Anyway, very good. All right, my quote is from a poet. I thought I'd go with Emily Dickinson, and she says, "The soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience."
Oh,
So good.
nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then I found that, in fact, Emily Dickinson and Taylor Swift are distantly related.
See, connections.
Yeah,
Connections.
the genie. So Ancestry.com confirms they are sixth cousins 3 times removed.
Like I said, poetry, lyrics, poetry,
I
music.
know.
They are
And I thought,
connected.
Laurie's going to get this. So their relationship traces back to a 17th century English immigrant who is the sixth great grandfather of Emily Dickinson and the ninth great grandfather of Taylor Swift. How about that?
There you go.
There you go. So Taylor Swift and Emily
Love
Dickinson.
it.
So, and I know there are some great Swiftie fans out there, of which, I won't put myself in there. I think she's doing a great job, but yeah, I'm a
Music,
bit more stuck in the
lyrics,
90s
poetry.
and 80s and 80s rock. So there you
They
go.
connect. They
They
connect.
connect. Indeed, they do. Yes, this particular book of Ben Aronovich's, because the first book was already booked out, Jazz in Soho in, all music.
Very cool.
That's enough, Laurie.
Yes.
I think it's time for us to get on with our day. Please
I
jump
think
onto
so.
the AustralianBookLovers.com and support our Aussie authors. Buy an Australian book. It's Christmas is coming. It's never too early to buy one. And if you're really careful, you can read it without breaking the spine, and you can read the book before you.
And
you
know
know
what,
I
blokes,
may have done that in my
blokes I'm talking to the men. Last minute shopping. I am just telling you, books, great presents and easy to
Yes.
wrap. Get onto it.
Get onto it. And you need something to read on the beach over Christmas. So please, lots and lots of books. Go to Australian Book Lovers, click on the genre, and you think, just click through all the pages. There's hundreds. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
I was even telling one of my bosses about the website the other day because I'm like, there are books for everyone. And then,
Yes.
I only like certain books. It's like, we've got genres for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm thinking there's so many poets who currently are kind of sitting in contemporary that I almost need to get a new little mascot and a page for themselves.
Oh, what could the mascot be?
What could the mascot be? Ooh,
maybe a bird.
Yeah.
Maybe the didn't the tawny owl,
the tawny frogmouth?
Yes. They won the Australian bird of the this year, so maybe that one.
Yeah, I do like them. I do like them.
They've got such a great face. Love them.
They have got such a great face. Yes. not like the face that my cat is giving me, which she says, "Come on, woman.
Come on.
Where's my milk? It's morning tea time."
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Laurie
Thank you.
Bell, for
Yes.
50 episodes of fun entertainment and just
Still here.
lots of rightly publishy chat, and still
Yes.
here. We're happy to have you here for definitely the next 50. It's good. I think we were just going to do a couple and see how you were, but we've moved on.
Yeah.
You're in.
It's still here.
All right, now,
All
listeners,
right.
thank you for listening,
Yes.
and please stay tuned for an author reading. So Gregory Day is going to read one more poem after we sign off. But our sign off is, of course, to remember to
read
more
more Aussie
Aussie books.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Okay, this poem's called Any Time Before Byzantium. From the back deck I hear the swans cry. Look up and see them winging by. Each of them contains two motifs. The curlicue two when on the water, the eel neck and body bulb when on the air. That outstretched neck, the strange ungainly, makes them a miracle, polytemporal, as when I see them flying at night with a moon of hammered gold behind, flying as if in oil paint in 1865, or on a cup embossed in 1265, or any time before Byzantium, or through the reed architecture of Iraq, or above and beyond the eel weirs of here. The eyes transport, they are boats. The ears inspire, they fill the lungs. But if perchance you only see the gleam of screens, this most natural yet tutelary of spirits would seem as freakish as a normal baby born, or the real and everyday vanishment of death. Art's surreal black swan is obviously our own doing, while the swan flying on governs its own presentation. Grace, then, is when the palette of habitat blends with our inner picture of its creatures. The bird glides from sepia wet, enters the ink of June shadow, which in turn blends into incomparable night. The swan is rubbed away, but we know it's still there, dreaming under the wing. It is our memory that shines the star. Without it, we are blank, and the night is never that. Keep the swan in your heart, the workaday of its paddling feet, the glamour of its buoyant glide. This is the inclusiveness of swan, the classlessness of brackish light, the ethics of how we are more than one. Listen through life's mindless tunes until you know its voice like a wild relative. Then, on the back deck, in an auditorium of estuary, or on the pavement grey, smile. But take no direction from me, nor any other baton of the historical score. Go out under your own dream wing. Swim the river beyond time to find the sound and texture of water.
Let's meet again where magic happens.